Hello and welcome to an Slurp'it SDK use case video. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can bulk update some attributes on the Slurp'it application. And the attributes I want to change or update have nothing to do with the actual configurations of the devices because we don't want to write to the devices or change the attributes of the configurations of the device. We just want to change something in the application itself using our SDK. Keep in mind that what you want to do with SDK is also possible with our REST API support using the probably Python request library or any other programming language that you use. And basically, SDK is also using REST API in the backend, so it's practically or technically the same thing, but the implementation is a little bit different as we use custom functions. If you use the REST API, you go to API docs and you find the endpoint and basically other necessary parameters. So what I want to do here is, I said bulk update. That means I want to perform a single operation on multiple devices. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to choose this attribute disabled and make it not disabled, make the devices not disabled, or in other words, enabled. Right now, all my devices are in the disabled state. As you can see, the attribute is set to yes, and if you take a look at the raw or JSON structured output, disable is set to 0, which would translate to yes in the front end. So let's do something. I'm going to go to my terminal. Before running the script, which is here, and I will also link it in the description, I will go to the other tab and run this Python file, which is get_devices. You can also access this if you clone the SDK project. You go to examples, device API folder, and you will find this script in the device API folder. So if you run this, your output is a little bit different than mine because your output is not pretty print. I just use the JSON dump to dump the output and dump the output in JSON format and make it more readable. Yours might be less readable. So as you can see, I have these attributes that belong to my devices, but actually one of them is enough. If I take a look at this block, is fine for now. So I have things like ID, host name, etc., etc. What I want to get is disable, which is set to 1 currently, and as you can see, all the other devices, their disable attribute is set to 1. That means yes, or in other words, the device is disabled. So I want to change this. I want to change this to 0, and that will make it enabled. So I'll go back here, and I will open this file. Again, this file is linked in the description. We have a module doc to just give you an idea of what the module or script does. We import the necessary packages. And first of all, we have to get the ID of devices. And that's because we want to update each individual device. And the way we do that is by getting their ID first, then we perform the update or changes to that device. But we just run a for loop to go through all the devices that we have using their IDs and update the devices accordingly. Again, we're not really updating the devices configurations. This is just something that belongs to Slurp'it. This is how it is shown in the Slurp'it frontend. And after getting the ID of devices, we want to perform this operation, and we would change the disable attribute to 0. That makes the device enabled. And if that's successful, we print a successful message. If not, we print an error. And if you get the script and run it, you would get a response. Most probably if the API key is not changed by then, but this is just using our sandbox instance, which is always on, and the API key is again fetched from the sandbox. So if you just run this script without any change, that most probably would work. So I'm going to quit and I am going to run this script. It's going to take a few seconds, but I will see these successful messages. So that's good news. If I go back here, the devices are disabled, but if I refresh, you see now the devices are not disabled, or in other words, enabled, added by API, or the same thing as SDK.